If you choose the rump cap cut, which we're looking at here, we're about to cook, it's got the higher marbling than the Australian Wagyu, and it's a beautiful way to try the Japanese piece as something for a special occasion. Much nicer piece of meat in terms of the marbling score, more tender, and you can test out the lovely Japanese flavor. We're going to hit this one with a bit of salt and pepper, doing the cooking the perfect steak at home. If you notice, this cut is slightly thicker than the Australian piece, so it's going to take a little bit longer in our oven, but we're going to salt it on each side and pepper. And it is just absolutely spectacular. Let's pop that into the really hot pan, listen to the sizzle, and just make sure it hits the pan everywhere. You see a little bit of that smoke, that's the sign that the marbling is there, a beautiful rendering out of that gorgeous fat that's coming out of that, and it's really delicious and getting that nice brown on it. See that? That's going to be a beautiful piece of meat. We're doing 1 minute on each side again. So we've got that for 1 on my timer. This one's probably a little more, it's because it's a bit thicker. It's going to take a bit longer. Also a little bit more forgiving than the ribeye as far as cuts go. And nice to try something different. You know, we eat ribeye, we eat sirloin all the time in Australia. We have it on our barbecues, we have it at home. The rump cap comes from the top of the rump, thus the name. Has this lovely piece of fat along the side, which adds more flavor to it. And it's just a really nice cut, which is less expensive than a sirloin or a ribeye. And so a nice way to try Japanese Wagyu without having to break the bank. Now we got 1 minute on this side, and then we're gonna test it, check it, see if it's nice and brown. And we're gonna flip it over if it is, let's see. Oh yeah, this one's perfect. So if you look here, I'm pulling it up. It's got that nice brown caramelization color on it. We're gonna flip that over. I'm gonna do 1 minute on the other side. And I think you just gotta crank your stovetop up as high as it'll go. If you have a wok burner at home, that's excellent because that gives you a really high flame, which is the way you want your meat to hit the pan. If you put it in a pan that's too cold at the beginning, you will stew the steak instead of searing it. And so it won't be near as, it won't have that nice crust on it, that beautiful caramelization where all the flavor is. The other type of pan you might want to use is something ridged. That makes for a nice cross-hatching or marking on the steak, which is good, which is what they do in restaurants. The other thing about rump cap is this is a similar cut that's very popular in Argentina and South America because it has so much flavor and because they're very good at barbecuing and cooking beef down there. Now we're at 1 minute, so let's pop that up and see. Yep, nice and brown on that side. So that's good. Into the hot oven. And this one was a little bit thicker, so the oven's on about 180. I'm gonna pop that in the hot oven and leave it for about 3-4 minutes and then test it using my finger test to see if it's medium rare, medium, or well done. All right, so we're gonna take our rump cap out now and test it. We're gonna open the oven and see, pop that up here. If you look at that, it's rendered out some of that beautiful fat, and I push it here. It's just like this part of my finger, so that's gorgeous. So I'm going to take it over here and pop it onto my wire rack. Oops, and let's see, just there. Then I'm gonna cover it with a bit of alfoil, and we're gonna let it rest for 4 minutes, 5 minutes, and then carve it up. It should be perfect. That's a beautiful piece of meat. Got our beautiful piece of rump cap here, which we've rested now for a full 4 minutes, 5 minutes. And we're gonna carve that up and see what it looks like. I think it's going to be amazing. Let's see, cutting into that. Look at that. Oh, that is just beautiful. Look at how juicy and tender that is. And we get more towards the middle here. Look at the color on that. It's just gorgeous. And it's still beautiful and soft, very flexible, very moist. Look at you can just see the juices coming out of it. It's just a great indicator that there's going to be a lot of flavor in that meat. And I would just, if I was going to plate that up beautifully, I would just cut that up. I would fan that out on a beautiful little plate with maybe a bit of, tiny little bit of rocket salad or something really nice. You don't need much with it because it's just spectacular. And let's do the test and see how it is. Now that's a very different flavor to the ribeye. It's more, a little bit more, a little stronger beef flavor and a little bit more rich to me. That's actually, I actually like that piece of meat better than I like the ribeye. It's got more flavor to it. That is just delicious. I highly suggest you try the rump cap. It is just, that's my favorite piece that we cooked today. Fantastic.